In tonight's video, we are going to learn how to make this very quick weeknight chicken stir fry with homemade 5-ingredient stir fry sauce.
So welcome to Dit Dot. My name's Amanda and let's get cooking.
The first thing that we're going to do for this super easy weeknight stir fry is go ahead and saute our vegetables. So I went ahead and chopped up some bok choy, some carrots, just a little bit of broccoli, some sugar snap peas, and some mushrooms. And when you chop your carrots, if you kind of rotate them a little bit as you go, you will end up with these kind of fun shapes. So that's just something you can do, you know, to make your presentation a little bit more interesting. All right, so I turned on the skillet and I'm going to add some oil. I like to use avocado oil, but often I'll use olive oil too. Now, often what I do is just use vegetables that happen to be in my refrigerator that week that I just need to get used up. I will list out some other options, things like cabbage, sugar. These are sugar snap peas, but snow peas will work also. Bell pepper or other sweet peppers. And I'm just going to go ahead and toss these all in here. While these are sauteing kind of on a medium heat, we're going to go ahead and cut up our chicken. Okay, since my back is to it, I went ahead and put it on low, and I'll go ahead and check on it every once in a while. Also, I make this with just boneless, skinless pork chops all the time, and it works really well, chicken or pork. And I've even done this with beef too. So I don't know about you, but lately my chicken has been coming less processed than usual. So a lot of times it'll have like this silver skin. At least that's what it's called on beef. I don't know if that's called the same thing on chicken, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull it off, and any of this extra fat and gristle. Meat prices have been rising, and I think to cut costs, maybe the processing plants have been taking a little extra step and not cutting off as much of this, because I've just noticed it lately. I mean, like this right here, this piece, if you don't cut that off, it's going to be kind of gristly. It just doesn't cook very nicely. It's just kind of the joint between where the chicken tender and the chicken breast is. So I usually just pull those off. Now, we want our chicken to cook really quickly. So this is a pretty flat breast, so I'm not going to go ahead and fillet it, but I'm just going to slice it into super thin slices. So I'm just dragging my knife across, and I'm going to come up with these very thin pieces. Now on this piece right here, because it's so much more thick, I am going to go ahead and run my knife parallel across the cutting board and fillet my chicken breast. That way it's nice and thin, and as I, again, run my knife across, I'm going to get really thin pieces, and these pieces will cook up very quickly. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and we'll be right back. So for some of the thicker pieces, like the width of the chicken that gets thicker, so that my, so that my pieces are, you know, all the same size, because this one's quite a bit longer than, you know, one at the tip, I do cut some of them in half, because you want your pieces to be about all the same size. So now we have a good amount of chicken here, and I'm just kind of double checking to make sure that, you know, the majority of them are about the same size. I'm gonna wash my hands, and then we'll add some seasoning to this. Okay, so I'm just gonna sprinkle a little bit of salt on these, not much. Most of our seasoning is gonna come in the stir fry sauce that we're gonna make, because homemade stir fry sauce is just so incredibly easy that you won't have to buy store-bought again. All right, let's go ahead and check on our vegetables and get this chicken cooking. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and raise the temperature back up to like a medium high and just kind of check on these. I wanna keep some color. I don't want them to be all wilted down, because, you know, that won't be very pretty, but we also don't want them to be raw vegetables either. So just give them a few more minutes, and then we will be able to start our chicken. Okay, so our vegetables are looking really good. So what I'm gonna do is I have a bowl here that I'm going to go ahead and remove the vegetables to this bowl. And then we're gonna add some more oil to the skillet. And I'm gonna cook the chicken in batches because we don't want it to overcook. So we'll get half of it in here and we'll just kind of stir fry it. Again, I can go ahead and raise up the heat, and this just cooks up so quickly because we cut it super thin. And at this point, we're just cooking it like 90% through, because then at the end we will toss the vegetables and chicken back in with the sauce. It'll finish cooking up that way. This stir fry is something, or variations actually of it, seriously is on my menu a couple times a month because it's so healthy, it's so fast, and everybody in the entire family likes it. Today I'm going to show you my simplest version of the stir fry sauce, just because it is like a good basis for you to build onto, and you can get creative from there. And you know, a lot of times I go a lot more complicated, and then sometimes, like if I'm really in a rush, keeping it simple like this, sometimes simple is best, right? Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead again and lower it a little bit so that we can start making the stir fry sauce. There's 5 main flavor ingredients and then a thickener. So I'm gonna start off with apricot jam, and I'm not gonna give you measurements. This is something you gotta taste and learn to experiment on your own. That's what makes it so quick, is because we're not measuring. You just kind of learn from your intuition. So I put we'll go with 2.5 big spoonfuls of an apricot jam. And then to go really quick this evening, I'm gonna go ahead and just add some squeezed garlic, a good generous. If you love garlic, be more generous. If it's not your favorite flavor, maybe pull back on it. Then I'm going to use soy sauce, and we're gonna put in quite a couple glugs there, and rice wine vinegar. A little bit less of this at first. We'll taste, and then we can adjust as necessary. And then sesame oil. Sesame oil is very strong in flavor, so you're going to use a little bit less of that than your other ingredients. Then you're going to go ahead and give this a stir. You want to break up that apricot jam, get it really good and mixed in. And then here's where your personal choice taste comes in. So what we're going to do, it's going to be strong because, you know, this is concentrated flavor that's going to be spread across all the chicken and vegetables. So expect it to be strong, but you want to give it a taste and just see what your gut reaction is. That's really good. I was going to say, oh, maybe it needs, so if it's not salty enough, you might want to add some more soy sauce. If it's too sweet, maybe add a little bit more vinegar to kind of balance out that flavor. If you can't taste any more sweetness, you know. So just kind of play around with it. Now, some of the things that I add, a lot of times I will add ginger. I might add some sweet chili, not sweet chili, like a sriracha sauce to make it spicier, you know, that kind of thing. All right, then, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stir my chicken real quick. Now, I didn't count this as an ingredient because I'm using chicken stock, but you can also just use water, just to give yourself a little bit more sauce if you like your stir fries to be a lot saucier. And then we're going to use a thickening agent. Arrowroot or cornstarch, both work really well. You don't want to use flour. Flour can work. In a pinch, go ahead and use flour. It'll thicken up your stir fry sauce. But a lot of Asian stir fry sauces have kind of a translucent glaze appearance to them. And arrowroot and cornstarch are going to keep your sauce thick but translucent. A flour, all-purpose flour, will thicken up a sauce but turns into that gravy. It gives it that opaque appearance. So that's just not typical in Asian cuisine. You want to make sure that you get all the lumps out. You see how there's some white lumps in here? If there's lumps here, there's going to be lumps in your last sauce because it will just ball up and it'll kind of feel like a tapioca ball sort of when you try to chew on it. Not fun because you're not, you know, it's not what's supposed to be in there. So what I'm just doing is I'm taking my spoon and kind of rubbing it up against the edge of this. You can use a whisk, just kind of work out those lumps. And then we'll go back and finish up our chicken. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this chicken. Again, it's not all the way cooked because I am gonna finish it off with the sauce. There's still plenty of oil in here so that I can now cook the rest of my chicken. And doing it in batches just ensures that you're gonna get some good color on your chicken for flavor. Okay, now that the chicken is mostly cooked through, I'm gonna go ahead and dump the rest of the chicken and the vegetables back into this skillet. Kind of give them a good stir. Re-stir the sauce because if you let it sit for a minute, sometimes that cornstarch will kind of pool to the bottom. So stir it back up again, make sure that it's all nice and incorporated. There will be some lumps from the garlic. Oh, I gotta see there's some cornstarch right there that didn't get mixed in, so I'm pushing it up against the... Okay, it looks like it's mostly stirred in now. And this goes pretty quickly. Cornstarch thickens up really fast, but you do have to bring it up to a good temperature. You almost kind of need to bring it to a boil to activate it. Let it simmer for a few minutes. That way it soaks into the broccoli because, oh, I love it when broccoli is just coated in your stir fry sauce. And then I'll just kind of continue cooking the chicken just a little bit. But here, let me show you what it's looking like. So you can see it right here. You see how it's kind of thickening up. And then now I'm going to put it on low. If it gets too thick, go ahead and splash it with some water or some more chicken stock to kind of thin it out in the pan. That's a way to save it if you'd put too much cornstarch. If the opposite had happened and you did not put enough cornstarch and your sauce is just soupy, go ahead and get a small bowl and add some water or the chicken broth and put some more cornstarch in it and just make a quick little slurry, just so, again, you're mixing it up so it won't clump, and then pour that extra into your skillet, and then that'll help thicken it up. So, you know, it's an easy save if you don't mix your stir fry sauce up exactly correct the first time. Okay, so now here, our dinner's finished, but you can also garnish it with some chopped green onions. We could put some sesame seeds in here, which I think I'm gonna do, or some crushed peanuts or cashews would also be good. I finished dinner up a little bit early, but this is a nice dish that I can just reheat quickly again when it's actually time for dinner to be served. And I've got some rice cooking in my Instapot that I'll serve this over, and dinner is so fast. So we'll plate it up and give it a taste. All right, here is a bowl plated up. I did go ahead and add a little bit of chili garlic sauce because I like spicy, and that's something you can garnish with. So let's go ahead and kind of mix it together and give it a taste. See how my simple 5-ingredient stir fry sauce went. Again, a lot of times I like to, fancy it up, put lemongrass, oyster sauce, whatever. But sometimes keeping it simple is the way to go. Yeah, my kids are gonna love this tonight. They like it when I keep things simple. I just love stir-fried broccoli. It's like one of my favorite vegetables. Let's see how my chicken came out. Perfectly tender. I'm happy. It's delicious. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something and had fun. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button so that you can see more of my fun in the kitchen. We do all kinds of stuff. We do learn with me, so we do get back to the basics, and I love having you along with me. Make sure that you drop a comment below, say hi. I love to know who's watching from all around the world, and I try to get back to as many comments as I can. Until the next video, bye guys.